That's Em Beihold from her much-anticipated debut album, Tales of a Failed Shapeshifter. Em's debut EP was released way back in 2017. Yet here we are 9 years later, finally getting an album. So what took so long?
It's funny, I was just journaling about this because I started writing music when I was 7 years old, and I'm 27 now. And some may
Right.
say 20 years is a really long time to release your first album. um, but I feel like it's the first time I've known who I am enough to make a project as full length as an album. Like I had made 2 EPs before and a bunch of singles, but I feel like there wasn't necessarily a coherent like overall body that existed until now, and I'm just really excited to share it.
Okay. All right. So along the way, what were the biggest things that you ran into that kept you from making this record until now, other than your own personal stuff?
I mean, it was mostly personal stuff. It was, after Numb Little Bug, it was amazing to have a song that big, but it also kind of was like before my sea legs were under me, I didn't really know who I was as an artist, what I was trying to do. I had always grown up listening to like Regina Spektor and Fiona Apple, but then I was in these like radio circuits playing with Tate McRae and like Five Sauce, and they're awesome, but that's not, really the lane I was trying to exist in. So
Right.
Things got very confusing in my head, and I feel like I was trying to make a lot of music because I had a platform. I was like, well, I need to be cool, and I need to make cool girl music and be accepted by, I don't know, whatever. And it just wasn't me. And so I wrote hundreds of songs that will never see the light of day. But then I took some space because I was just eventually getting to a point of burnout and writer's block, and music wasn't fun. But I didn't, it's all I've ever wanted to do, so I didn't know what else I would do.
Right.
I was looking at jobs at Petco, like after Numb Little Bug. And I think with that distance, I was really able to, I think, regain my trust in myself and my intuition and just make the music that I want to make really without caring what other people think, which feels awesome.
Right. Well, that's a tough barrier to cross because, let's face it, with the way people tell you how they're thinking all the time these days without any hesitation. So, yeah, I can imagine you run into that from time to time. So my understanding is that Brutus was kind of the breakthrough song that got you back on track writing and getting this record together. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, I think during the time of burnout and writer's block, some of my friends or like peers that were, I guess, at a similar level when I released Numb Little Bug were just like soaring like crazy. And I was like, okay, what did they do right and what did I do wrong? And it was really hard for me. Like I was just mad at myself because I was like, I lost the momentum. I don't know why it's all dropped off like this. I don't even like music. What happened? Blah blah blah. And I was trying to write a song about comparison that captured the way I was feeling without being rude towards myself or rude towards them because they didn't do anything wrong. But I was just jealous, and I didn't want to be jealous. It was just like kind of how I felt. And when I wrote Brutus, I was kind of like, oh, my superpower didn't go missing, which was very special because it was kind of the song that got me out of the writer's block, and one where I wrote the whole thing myself except for the bridge. Which, after doing so much co-writing, in my head, I was when I would write by myself, I'd be like, oh, but blank would argue with this, and blah, blah, blah would make this better. Blah, blah. Like, I couldn't write myself the same. So That was one where I was able to do that.
Okay. What was the co-writing process like for you when you first started doing it? Was it exciting? Was it annoying? I mean, how did it feel for you?
So much. Yeah, it was an honor to be in rooms with so many writers I respect so much, but I've also just I always grew up writing by myself at the piano. I do think co-writers make you a lot better and it's important, but the process is very difficult, and also finding people that understand the quirks of your brain. Like there are some people where I felt like I was being very clear, but then they'd respond with, I don't think you know what you want. And it's like, I do know, I just don't think you understand what I want, So it would have me questioning myself a lot, but it took a process of truly meeting hundreds of people to find the very few that I can successfully collaborate with.
All right. Speaking of collaborators, your producer is James Flanagan, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. How did you and he collaborate? What kind of communications and discussions did you have about the sound of this record?
I started working with him because he had done the previous Marina record, and I'm a huge Marina fan.
Right?
We got connected around the time I had started outpatient therapy, and I think I was also just in a different mental space than I was when I was in the tornado of writing with a lot of people. Um, we just connected on a human level. He super understood my references. He understood that I was trying to go for like a Regina Spektor esque pop record. Also, I think his taste is similar to me, which was very helpful. It was kind of tough because a lot of producers are either very pop or very like songwriter acoustic. And I think James
Right.
was a perfect fit of both.
Which kind of describes Regina Spektor to some degree. She's kind of a bit of both and has her own. So how did you get turned on to her?
My piano teacher, Jameson Trotter, showed me Regina, I think probably around the time I was 8.
Right?
And then her songs just like moved me beyond what I realized was capable for music. It was just like a world that I was able to step into. And she's the reason I started writing music, in addition to my piano teacher, Jameson Trotter.
Gotcha. And it seems like from what I've read, your parents are very supportive. They're kind of involved in the arts. I see your dad's in a couple of videos and things, and all. So, how much did they influence your musical taste, or just your ability to do what you want to do?
I think my mom did. Often in the car, we would listen to a lot of music on the way to school. We'd listen to Queen. We'd listen to musical theater soundtracks like Hair and Wicked and Moulin Rouge and stuff like that. Um, and my mom and I will like sing together to be silly. It's just kind of they've always been so supportive, and even when I've been doubting myself, they've been the ones that told me to keep going. And I know how rare that dynamic is when your child wants to pursue the arts. So my gratitude for them is endless.
All righty. So the record begins with a song called "Scared of the Dark," and it's like a little orchestral intro before you get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of the tune. So, and there seems to be, I think later on, there's a classical piece that's kind of alluded to in the song. So, is that part of your musical world, the classical and the orchestral?
I think yes, because I grew up like learning classical music, and I actually started writing because I wanted to see where the classical music, well, in addition to Regina, where the classical music could go instead of what was written for me. So I've always had an affinity for classical, but then like, what's my spin on it? Ever since I was like truly 7 years old.
All right. Now, I think I saw somewhere you bought a lottery ticket finally. You have a song called Lottery. I've never bought a lottery ticket myself, and I'm significantly older than you, so I just never saw the point. Did you win anything?
So I paid $1 for it, and I won $1, so I broke even.
All right. But overall, what's your philosophy on lotteries and such?
I don't, I think when people win, it actually gets really bad for them because they
Right.
don't know how to handle the money. And then it's like their name gets released, and then everyone's chasing them for money. And I actually think it's perhaps a bad thing to win the lottery.
Although I got to say, I'd like to give it a shot just to see how I do.
I would like to win the lottery, but work like I didn't, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Now I see you're also going on tour. In I think May is starting out. You're in a little bit in Europe and then back in the States. What's that going to look and sound like? You touring with a band?
Touring with a band. I'm going to be behind the piano a lot more than I have in the past, which is much more true to me than past tours. Um, we are still sort of figuring out what everything is going to look like, but what I do know is that this will be the most intentional set I've ever done, the most me. Um, I think it by far, like I'm more excited for this tour than I've ever been.
Oh, okay. All right. And do you interact with fans much? Do you get behind the merch table and chat away, that kind of thing? Do you enjoy collaborate or kind of intermingling with people before and after the show?
I love talking to my fans. I've asked if I could just sell the merch, but they said no. I love stuff, but I mean, in that vein, I just finished hand making 250 unicorn necklaces to sell as merch for my fans, and I signed all the little things and packaged them myself. And I love any sort of connection I can have with my fans, and I like to give them the most of me that I can.
Gotcha. And I think I saw that you're donating some of the ticket sales to immigration organizations and whatever. Tell me why that's important to you. I know that your mother, I think, was an immigrant. Most of us are immigrants of some description. Go back far enough.
Yeah, I mean, the ICE raids are devastating, and the way that people are being pulled apart from their families is just like the opposite of what America is about. And, my mom's from Iran. If I can do anything to counteract that orange man's ruling, I will.
Yes, I think he's doing his State of the Union address in a few minutes. Are you going to watch any of it? How does it feel for you? I mean, at your age, living in the middle of all this, I mean, I'm American myself, but I moved away 30 years ago, so I'm kind of bemused from afar.
Yeah, I hate him so much. I probably will see bits of the State of the Union. I will do my reading and I will understand what's going on, but I will not ever support that man.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I know you were a competitive fencer. Did you watch the Winter Olympics
I
much at
did.
all?
Yes.
What did you think? How was that?
Well, I
How
love
did
the
it go?
figure skating. I know everyone loves the figure skating. Um, I randomly watched the monobob. That was an interesting one.
Okay,
Do you know about that?
I don't.
It's they have a little sled
Is it like a sled that
and
you?
then they run and then they get in there and then they go in the little tunnels, and it's kind of crazy to me that like the way I spend so much time with my music, like someone spends a lot of time monobobbing. It's not a
Okay.
judgment. It's just like there's so much variation in this world of things you can do, you
Yes.
know?
And then, of course, there was controversy about the women's ice hockey team winning or not getting the same respect that the men's did from the president. So, I mean, it's never ending.
It all goes back to my point. Yeah, exactly.
I know, I know. And as a woman in the music industry, has it been easy, difficult, kind of what you expected? Anything out of the ordinary?
Um, I think it's been. Wait, I'm so sorry. My roommate is like blasting music. Do you mind if I text her to turn it down?
Oh no, you go for it. Take your time.
Sorry, sorry. Okay. Um, as a woman in music, I've definitely experienced my fair share of really feeling like a woman in music and
Right.
being in rooms with writers and producers where I feel like my ideas are valued less or I'm just not listened to. Like the men will only look at each other. Or when I'm writing for other artists too, that's happened before.
Right.
Um, I just kind of laugh about it and keep going.
Is that all you can do?
That's all I can do. I don't know.
Uh, any advice for somebody who's maybe 10 years younger than you, thinking about getting involved in the music industry? Because you've been through a bit already.
Yeah. I would say you really got to be persistent. You can't take a no as, oh, well, I guess the industry said it's not for me. I've received hundreds of rejections. I still do. But it's, if it's what you really want to do, you'll make it happen. And, I remember talking to Chapel Roan in 2021.
Right.
It was before anything. And we had a Zoom. I was writing for her. She was like, I don't even know if I can afford my rent this month. But she was like, I've been in this industry long enough. She was 15 when she was signed, where she was like, if you stick around long enough, it will happen. And I've really kept those words in my head because look at her. Like, when I met her, such a different situation. And I do think if it's your calling, you will stay despite all the trouble.
Yeah, she was just here in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, so it was a
Mm-hmm.
very big deal.
Yeah,
Very big deal. And she did all right in the Grammys as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
she's slaying. She's slaying everywhere she goes.
Now we talked about the first song on the album. How about the last one? Won't let go new. So there's also some studio chatter and a phone call. Is that your grandmother on there? Tell me.
Yes, that is my grandmother. She struggles with Alzheimer's dementia, and she's been a close family member, but also friend of mine
Sure.
for my whole life. And it's just been hard to go over there and not have her always recognize me. But it's about just being there for her no matter what. even though she's kind of a different person now.
Right. And is it easier or more difficult for you to write about personal things that are close to you personally rather than kind of the usual lovey-dovey stuff that a lot of people can crank out without thinking twice about?
I have to think about. I can't not think about. Like for me, all my songs are journal entries. I feel like when it is that kind of fluffy, lovey-dovey stuff, I just don't. It doesn't mean anything to me, so I can't do that.
All right. You mentioned Chapel Roan. Is there anybody else that you kind of keep an eye on, admire, kind of check out and see how they're doing music-wise in their career?
I mean, I have so many music friends. That's kind of been the honor of like being in this industry, is meeting so many creative people that I've looked up to for so long, and then just like having human conversations with them and being like, oh, like you're a person too. That's so crazy, and we can talk about these things. Like Noah Kahn is another one. He came to my first show ever at Hotel Cafe in 2021 also, and seeing his rise has been really incredible. I ran into him at the UMG after party after the Grammys, and he was very excited about my album and supportive. And I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but it's surreal. Like you think these people get famous and check out, but they're
right.
He seemed to be knowing what was going on. That was really cool.
That's good to hear. What do you got planned for the day on Friday when release day finally comes around? What are you going to do?
I don't know about Friday, but I do know Thursday night, the moment that it comes out, or I guess Friday for some, Thursday night for me in LA. But I'm throwing a party with everyone who worked on the album and a lot of my friends and a lot of artists. And I've already started decorating my house. You can see these little streamer things here. Slowly but surely. But also my piano teacher, my music teachers in school, just everyone gathering. I'm very excited.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.